The federal government has released a letter from the coalition showing the agreement on increasing political funding. The move follows opposition leader Tony Abbott's announcement this morning. The coalition won't support the federal government's plans to increase political funding by $58 million over 3 years. The opposition has pulled out on the agreement due to community outrage. But Federal Transport Minister Anthony Albanese says if both parties agree to the bill, despite the perspective of the community who elected the politicians, the legislation is a way of moving ahead.
In terms of method of moving forward,
ACT Chief Minister Katie Gallagher says every school student in Canberra will be better off under the federal government's Gonski education reforms. The ACT has today become the second jurisdiction after New South Wales to sign up to the new funding arrangement, which will see ACT schools receive an extra $190 million over 6 years from 2014. The federal government has also announced $26 million to establish a centre for quality teaching and learning at the University of Canberra. Ms Gallagher says every public, private and Catholic school will benefit from this deal.
This national funding reform, that's a really important part of the reform.
Northern Territory land councils may have much of their power stripped from them if the coalition wins the next federal election. The opposition's Indigenous Affairs spokesman, Nigel Scullion, says he wants to see some of the decision-making handed back to local people but would not consider scrapping the land councils altogether. Rather, he wants to give local people the power to question the council's decisions after receiving complaints about the way councils operated. The Australian Medical Association has published in the latest issue of the Medical Journal of Australia a letter claiming the recent ban on performance-enhancing substance 1,3-dimethylamine has further adverse effects than first thought. On Monday, Britt Rupert investigated what the letter outlined surrounding the amphetamine-like substance, otherwise known as DMAA. The growing Australian government is reducing individual freedom and economic opportunity, a big problem according to the Institute of Public Affairs. The free market think tank on Tuesday released an analysis on historical trends of the size of Commonwealth, state and local governments, revealing that Australia's current public sector is at its highest point since World War II. The Melbourne Rebels Test 5/8 James O'Connor has been given the green light for the Rebels Super Rugby clash with the Queensland Reds. O'Connor has recovered from a chest injury after missing the past 2 Rebels matches and will start at number 10 at Lang Park on Saturday night. In AFL, after 9 rounds, Collingwood have found themselves in foreign territory in the lower echelon of the top 8. On percentages, the Magpies sit in 11th position but have still won more games than they have lost. And wrestling's chances of regaining its place on the Olympic sports roster look better, as the executive board of the International Olympic Committee have included it in a short list of 3 to be voted on in September. It will compete against squash in a joint softball-baseball bid in Buenos Aires on September 8.